I've lived such a beautiful life to this day. Amazing, incredible. No matter what's going on, I can't justify letting that destroy what it is that I've already had.
Sunny Promyotin, from producer in Thailand to frontman in the Bay, from coffee shops to 300 shows a year, from a hospital bed to 200-pound transformation, from live streams to a global family that calls itself Sunny Love. He builds more than just sets and songs. He builds a community. He paints on canvas and on covers, turning every classic into something living. He leads a band that is really a family and a company that is really a movement.
My music discovery really came from trauma. I was having a very hard time. My father was very physical, very mental, a lot of words thrown at me, and then sometimes fists. I ran away from home. I was on my own. I was struggling. It was pretty tough. But there was a moment where I was so under stress. I don't know what happened, but in 15 minutes, I came up and was able to write my first song.
The definition of a good friend is if you talk to them, you go with a problem to a good friend, and it feels like the problem is nothing.
No matter what happens in your life and what's going on, I think there's always room to find positivity.
The more you know, the more the unknown grows. I am Jitesh Vaswani, your host, and together, let's take this journey beyond the known. Sunny, welcome to our show.
I am speechless. Your words. How do I follow an introduction like that? You made me feel. Thank you. Those were some, you definitely know me very well. That's amazing. Thank you for having me on, Jitesh. Since the first day I met you, I can easily say I fell in love with you. You were so kind. You had a presence that was so unforgettable. You brought something into the studio. I met you at Howie's podcast. So Guru Dev came in with his team, and you guys all walked in, and there was something very special, of course, automatically about Guru Dev. Guru Dev is Guru Dev. Yeah. Incredible. Honestly, what really got me was the serenity that came over all of us as you all walked in. There was a sense of calm and peace that was unlike any other guest that had ever come into our studio. And now, we've had amazing guests, and all of them bring something special. But this was the first of its kind that we'd ever felt from anyone, which was this serene feeling. And it wasn't just me. It was the entire band. Yeah. It was everybody in the city. We all were just like, wow. And it was incredible. It was a beautiful moment.
Thank you for saying that. And of course, Gurudev does bring in that presence, and he's involved in a lot of conflict resolution work. Yes. And it's not something that when he talks to a lot of these warring factions, let's say, a lot of times it's not something unique that he would say, right? Mm-hmm. So we asked him, Gurudev, you talk about peace, there are others talk about peace. Yeah. So how is it that when you talk about peace, it hits home, and when others talk about peace, it's just an intellectual concept? And his sister, or one of the teachers with the Art of Living who was with him at the time, they mentioned, it's not about what's being said, it's about who is saying it. So when somebody is established in that presence of peace, when they talk about peace, it hits home. Sure. And that was truly, that has been my experience all through my life, and I'm glad that we're starting with that. Although on this podcast, I would also love to explore your journey, into music. From what I was reading online, you started as early as 16?
Yeah, I started at 16.
Talk to us about your journey. How did that start? What was going on in your life at 16?
A lot was going on. And it's a little bit funny because I think for most musicians, when you hear the story, it's, I started age 3 or 4. And, I was slammed into education or lessons. And I'm very unconventional. I'm very different. My music discovery really came from trauma. I was having a very hard time. So I grew up, both my parents are from Thailand, but I grew up in a small town called Pacific Grove. So I was surrounded by predominantly Caucasian community. I was one of very few Asians in our school. But both my parents were very Thai, Thai from Thailand. And naturally they had a discipline structure that was very different. My father was very physical. Very mental, a lot of words thrown at me, and then sometimes fists, and they got pretty brutal. And growing up in America, the message that I received constantly was, if your parents hit you, they hate you and they don't like you.
Yeah.
I was told that it is wrong and illegal and bad, and your parents must never touch you. Now, it's interestingly enough, so for years, I led my life thinking and believing that my father hated me. Every day I'd wake up and all I could think of was that he must hate me, because I'd go to school, my friends would tell me he hates me. They'd see marks on my back or on my legs, and they'd be like, oh, he must hate you. He hates you. God, I couldn't be more wrong. But I didn't know this until I was much older. It was until I was about 18 that I finally came to peace and understood the difference, that while my father can do wrong things to me, that it does not mean necessarily that he hates me. That was his love language, and that was his way of showing love. That was his way, not necessarily correct, not necessarily the right or the best way, but there was love. There's great love. And it took many years for me to do that, to understand that there was great love. And the moment that I understood that difference, that he did love me, I stopped hating myself. I started to believe in loving myself more. And I grew over time to become stronger and stronger with that love. But for years, I struggled. And in the beginning, at that time, and part of that healing came from music. I think really all of it came from music. So when I was 16, I was in a very dark place. I ran away from home. I was on my own. I was like struggling. It was pretty tough. But there was a moment where I was so under stress that all I would do was like walk to the beach or go to the beach and drive around the ocean because of Pacific Grove. And I keep hearing these songs in my head. I just keep hearing these notes, and I didn't know what they were. They were just, to me, it was noise. But I kept on singing da 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 da. I kept just singing that over and over. It's like, what is this? I don't know. I had no idea. So I went to the school, and I went to the practice room, and I broke into one of their band rooms, and I sat down, and I just started to hit the piano. I don't know. I didn't know. But something drew me, so I started hit it. I don't know what happened, but in 15 minutes, literally, I came up and was able to write my first song.
Wow.
It all started to make sense. I just looked at the notes, and I looked at the shapes and the colors that I would see, and it just made sense to me. And literally within 15 minutes, I wrote my first song called "A Seal."
Wow.
Yeah, which was Lisa backwards. So dedicated to a girl that was helping me at the time.
That's very interesting, and I kind of relate to that. I'm a first generation immigrant here in this country,
Okay.
and I come from India. Now I do feel that without getting into specifics of parenting, but there is a difference in West and the East,
Just
right?
a little bit. Yeah, it sounds a lot louder and it feels a lot harsher.
Exactly. And even though it's very interesting, I do relate to that. I can understand why it can feel very confusing when somebody in school or your teachers are telling you that, hey,
Principals, teachers,
that's not okay. This is hate, right?
police.
Versus and the police, right?
Yeah.
Versus in the eastern part of the world, it's a little bit common.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of tough love.
And it's interpreted differently. It's interpreted as love.
Exactly.
So that's the difference. Is like I was going to a place where people were telling me, no, this equals hate.
Right.
But if I had grown up in Thailand, every single one of my friends would have been like, oh man, your dad loves you.
Your dad loves you.
Like, damn,
Exactly.
damn, he did that. Whoa. it's literally that situation. And we're laughing about it, but that's very real. That's what it is. And as dark as it is in our culture to be so physical, right? Mm-hmm. It's so adverse.
Right.
It's so inverted. And it really does literally mean to a lot of families, a lot of people, that is love.
Yeah.
And the ones that are ignored, ironically enough, the children that don't get the discipline, they're the ones that feel unloved.
Exactly.
It's wild.
It's wild.
It's kind of crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. And I think the fine line is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, of
with
course.
Most things.
Balance, yeah.
Right.
Everything is in life is balance, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah. So then you wrote your first song in 15 minutes. Is that when you realized that, okay, there's something here that began your music journey, and then how did you get deeper into it?
In that moment, I didn't know and feel that it was special. But what I did know was that it made me feel something special. So, and what I mean is, like, I guess to discern, like, I didn't know how much it would change my life. You know, in that moment I wrote that song, I didn't understand, like, how much of my life would be affected in this moment. Like,
Right.
in this 15 minutes, how much everything would change. I had no idea. But everything was about to completely take a brand new course. But I knew in that moment that, more than anything, that I felt a sense of joy, release, love, clarity, and serenity,
Yeah.
calm, that I had not felt all my life.
It's interesting. And all the things that you do mention, it's like, it's an internal atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right? It's things that we don't see, right? It's the things that we feel.
Yes.
Now, how do you tap into that? How did you start tapping into that more and more often?
Well, I mean, it really centered around music at first. I dedicated hours of time into
Right.
sitting down and playing the piano.
Right.
And the best part for me, I think, looking back, you know, when I wrote that song and I felt those emotions, I think it was a very powerful moment for me because I did it alone, and there was no one else in the room. And in our culture, you know, in the world's culture, we're associated with the action of playing music and getting praise, right? We're appreciated for the music. People listen to the music and they share the love of the music, or and that brings a certain type of attention. And I think that's a very dangerous part of the equation, because musicians get trained to play music and feel that hunger for that validation that they get. But for me, I was alone, and I think it set the stage, no pun intended, you know, for what was to come, because I ended up pursuing music in a very different way than I think a lot of other musicians can end up going into. I focused heavily on a selfish kind of music, which was I played for myself. And I played only for myself for some time before I would begin really getting outside recognition.
Right.
And so I would pursue playing music alone, you know. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I began to discover what it was like to play music with other people, and then really play music in front of an audience.
Right.
And those three things are very different.
Right.
Very, very different. But yeah, I would just dive into music. Anytime I felt pain, I would go to the piano. It was interesting though, because at some point I started to change, and it was no longer just pain. I would go to the piano in joy. But at first I would seek it in sadness, and any time I felt anything, I would run to the piano and I would just create. I would just write and write and write. Instrumental, no lyrics. Not till much later did I start bringing in the, words. But it was very much focused on the notes and the way that they made me feel. So I spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe the difference between playing for yourself versus playing for an audience.
When I play for myself, I am focused on how I feel, and I'm focused on the story that I'm telling to myself inside my head. I'm literally running over scenarios of things that happen in the day, whether it's a tragedy or an argument or a joyous laugh or a shared moment of love or an amazing flavor I've tasted or something beautiful I've seen. Those are the ways that I express and internalize myself, right, for myself. But when I play for an audience, and again, I think this may be the same for some musicians. I don't believe that enough musicians do it this way. But I feel bad saying that because I feel like, oh, I'm criticizing the musical world, but that's not my intention. My intention is to better reward the people that do it for the right reasons.
Right.
You know, and when I play for others or playing for an audience, what I'm playing to do is to connect. And I'm hoping that they can feel the same emotion that I feel when I'm playing what I play. And that is the magic that happens. It's the most beautiful thing in the world to be able to play something, feel a certain way, and then get up off of the stage and have them come to you and tell you as they're bawling their eyes out, saying that, like, I feel you.
Right.
And sometimes it's just met with a hug and a smile and an embrace and literally a 5-minute cry. But that's what I do when I play for someone else, is I hope to connect with them and to share that moment of sadness or happiness or joy, whatever it is. I want to share my emotions with them, and that's the most important thing. That is everything to me. Like those moments, so for many years we were playing touring, and we used to play for big audiences. We opened for Boz Scaggs, and we did wonderful tours.
Right.
And then COVID hit.
Right.
And when that happened, we had to change directions.
Of course, yeah.
And we had to figure out how to do it. So we pivoted to playing online. And so we're in a very interesting space right now because we no longer do live shows. And we haven't done live shows since COVID because we garnered an online audience that was so strong. The community was so good that it only made sense for us to focus on that and not do live shows. Live shows are tough. They cost a lot of money, and I'm not good at traveling, and it requires a big team, much bigger than just the core band, to work.
Right.
So naturally, we just focused on what we're doing now. Something we started to do recently. I'm opening I'm partnering with an art gallery in Agora Hills in Westlake Village to show my paintings, but I also am turning it into a performance space. So we've been doing these smaller shows where, like, it hasn't opened yet, but we kind of did some test shows. But we had people, we had like 20 to 30 people in there, and I was telling them like I don't do live shows anymore, but we did a special because it's kind of like our second home.
Right.
I would rather play for 30 people in a room than 100,000.
Yeah.
Any day. I would pay myself to have that experience, rather than get paid to do a show for 300,000 people.
And why is that?
Because the connection that I can have afterwards is so personal and so real, and that matters more than anything. It sounds so ridiculous for me to say that as a musician. I think musicians all over the world would think I'm such an idiot, and they'd say, you're crazy, you're nuts. They would be like, why would you do that? You get so much exposure and the growth and the money, and I don't care. I do not care at all. I would rather play for a room of 5 people and have a chance to connect with them individually afterwards. Because after that show that I did with the 30 people in the room, I talked to every single one of them.
Yeah, and I think that shows where your heart is, right, and who you are as a person, Sunny, and that's why I'm so fond of you, and we are having you on this show specifically for your heart and for what you bring, that connection for everybody around you. Now, there was a time when you were in the U.S. and then did you move back to Thailand?
I did. I was.
And you were not pursuing music in the same conventional sense.
No, I was not. And so when I moved to Thailand, my plan was to just chill and just hang out, and live a very easy life. But when I got there, I met an artist, and that was like 2 days into my moving there. And I was set. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I wanted to pursue some other endeavors. I wanted to try some other businesses. And I went to this magazine opening, and she was there. And then she introduced herself. She goes, oh, I heard you're her producer from the States. And I was like, oh yeah. And then we started talking. We became friends. Within like one night of meeting her, she reignited my flame to want to do music again. And I was like, gosh, I looked at the opportunity. I was like, okay, this is an incredible opportunity. There is a void in the market. They need help here with this. I think I could contribute something special. She was the No Doubt of Thailand. So her name is Som Amara, and she is a reggae artist. And she does like reggaeton. She does she's very, very fun. Literally, she's like Gwen Stefani of Thailand. So we ended up partnering up, and she became my first artist there, and I was producing and managing her for a great many years.
Wow!
And my entire time that I was in Thailand, I was handling her. We did a couple movies together and TV shows, and
we can watch that somewhere.
It was a long time ago, but you could see some stuff. I mean, you could definitely see the movies and stuff and things. But it's crazy stuff.
Tell us the name of the movie.
The movie was called Kill 'Em All.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna watch it today. It'll be great.
Oh, don't be too rough on it. I was a long time ago, but it's a martial arts movie. And she played the lead, and she's ferocious. She's absolutely has this incredible ferocity on screen that is real. That's just her in real life. It's not even acting. That's just who she is. And so, I was an associate producer on that and birthed the project, and helped with making it come to life. And some of my best friends in the world are actually his name is Johnny Mesner, who I'm also producing a podcast for and working with. But he is in the movie. He's the lead in that movie, and that's a story in itself. He came from addiction and has turned his life around through ayahuasca, and also just through him doing what he needed to do to heal. But incredible human being, beautiful person, and he's the lead in that movie. So the male lead. And so.
Cool. Well, so and then how long was this producer life?
This was I don't know. Jake, how many years ago? 2012 is when we did it,
Wow.
So, and we shot it in probably a couple months, and it was a lot of hard work, but it was fun.
So from that point,
focusing on producing, not performing.
10 years, no performing.
No performances. I'm producing in the studio, behind the curtain. I'm off stage. Everything's off stage.
Hey, a quick pause. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need more peace in my day, more clarity in my mind, then I'll really encourage you to check out The Art of Living. The Art of Living offers a technique called Sky Breath Meditation, used by CEOs, pro athletes, and high performers around the world to recharge their energy, clear that mental fog, and reset the nervous system in minutes. They offer programs both online and in person. It is science-backed and it works. Head to artofliving.org to learn more.
How did you make the switch back again to performing?
I got engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to.
It is. It's you want to talk about transitions and moving and flowing with life. I got engaged and to my wife Michelle. It was at a funny time in Thailand where I knew that I didn't want to be there anymore.
Okay.
Things politically were heating up, and when I had originally gone there, things were in a very different place, and it gave way to a lot of other opportunities that were going to come to fruition. They're like on their way, but as the climate changed politically, it changed the business structure of everything, and I had to reconsider. So, and mainly, I didn't feel secure about having a family in Thailand anymore. I didn't want to do that anymore. I was like, okay, I gotta do something different here. So maybe it's time to go back to the States.
Yeah.
And it was a very easy decision for me because I, of course, love my wife and am in love with her, but was very much in love with her family as well. And I think that's the only way to fall into a marriage. Really is when you can gel with one's family. It speaks loudly. Not that it's a requirement, but it's an incredible thing to have when you can walk into their home and have the same kind of love transcend throughout. So I was naturally in love with her sister and her mother and father. Just beautiful people. All her relatives were incredible. And so I was like, okay, why don't we get out of here and go back. You know, I have roots there, and I mean that's where I started and everything. We'll see what happens. So I went back to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, and ended up staying there for some time. Then eventually moved to the East Bay in a kind of Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill area, and stationed there with my good friend and business partner Eric. I had to figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I was like, maybe this is the time. I sat down and kind of talked with my friend Eric and Jake, who's my drummer and longtime friend for 20 million years. I don't know. We've been friends forever. All of us have been friends for a long time now. But I said, why don't I step out from behind the curtain and let's try doing this. Let's do some YouTube. Let's do some music, and let's go play out. And so it was kind of like a simultaneous adventure of pursuing what is now social media.
Right.
And back then when I started, like there was so little. It was just YouTube and funny videos, but now it's an entire business model that is so legitimized.
That's great. You had that insight, you had that vision did you predict that, okay, 10 years from now this is going to be big and that this is where we should start instead of doing live performances right away? Or
so absolutely. I took everything in tandem, and it was actually more of a focus on YouTube than it was even through live performance.
Okay.
And at some point it transitioned later into live performance, but I took on the social media aspect first, and it was crazy. We're on Twitch before it was Twitch. We're on Social Cam, which was I think the founders of Twitch.
Wow.
Yeah, and different people were involved in that. And I had met with the CEO. We had gone to the office. I talked to. I was on the ground level of so many different things. I was involved in one of the first applications and implementations of monetization through digital products, like selling, digital gifting. How you can like gift like hearts and things like that. Right. I was the first implementation of that ever online. Ever. Never had been done before, and we were selling. I sold over 1 million copies of a little dog. Of a GIF of a dog, and we sold over 1 million, made 1 million rev in that. Just one single dog, and it was a picture of my dog in a Superman suit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and that was the beginning of that, but I kept going with it, and it became very interesting, to grow and to watch where social media has gone. I've watched it go up and down. There's the waves of this growth have been incredible. So
interesting. And that's so cool, because I think you were already building an online community, and you touched upon it briefly. When the pandemic hit, then it must have come in handy.
It came in really handy. I had a head start. I was in the trenches when it all began, and then when the pandemic hit, we already had a head start because we were already streaming music online. I mean, for like 3 or 4 years before the pandemic even came, maybe more than that.
Wow.
But we got to, I think one of our biggest things that we did was figure out the tech. It was quite the spectacle to watch big bands, famous artists, like incredibly wealthy, fully funded individuals get online and sound like complete butt. Like it was just terrible. They sounded like the worst quality ever because nobody knew what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're like, I can't play out online. What do I do? And they would try, and God bless them. I mean, that's amazing they did. But they sounded terrible for a long time.
I remember that. I remember I'm a big fan of Indian classical music.
Oh yes.
And I would see some of these big artists, and they do you know about tabla?
Indian of course.
Drums? They would try and do these online concerts, and the noise cancellation. They would try and sing over the tabla.
It's like disappearing.
It's like, I was like, what the heck am I listening to? It sounded like,
gives you a headache.
Noise.
It gives you a headache. Horrible. It's horrible.
Like, okay, wow. They should have figured it out.
And that was our competitive advantage. It was so funny. We had some of the world's most famous online musicians, and they go on to HET and to tour the world and even get contracts. A lot of them came to me and asked, "I love what you're doing. How did you get this sound?"
Yeah.
You know, and I was not a gatekeeper that way. I wanted the world to have good music. I would pick and choose, I'll be honest. Yeah. There were some, I was like, I don't really like you, right? You know, so I don't really like your message, you know. So, but for the most part, I met wonderful people. So we were streaming before streaming was streaming, and then when it finally hit, when COVID hit, and everyone had to say, I'm bored and I need something, they would turn to TikTok. That's a huge part of TikTok's success is COVID. They would turn to Reddit and TikTok and Twitch, and we were there. We were there. We started on Twitch, and then Reddit started streaming. They offered a service called RPAN, and I remember waking up one day and just going, okay, look, this is just started. I have to get on this now while it's hot. And so we figured it out, got the best sound quality that we could. Like, it's literally a studio quality.
Amazing.
And within minutes, I had 2,000-3,000 people watching us.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, I have to do this again.
Yeah.
So we did.
Yeah.
And we were on the top front page of Reddit for like 8 months straight or something like that. It was crazy.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
That's incredible. But it was not all easy for you during the pandemic, right?
No, it was not.
Tell us more about those challenges.
There are a lot of challenges. So the day that COVID was announced, I went into the hospital. Not for COVID. I'm still overweight. I'm still a very big man, and I will be struggling with weight loss for the rest of my life. It's going to be a fight, you know, to stay at the weight that I'm at and not gain, and to lose. It's very hard to do. But at that point, I was 250 pounds heavier than I am now.
Wow.
And the day that I received the news that COVID was here, I was admitted in the hospital because I also suffer from lymphedema. And lymphedema is when fluid pools in certain parts of your body. Sometimes it can be your arms, sometimes it can be your legs. For me, it pulls in my lower belly, my pannus area. And it's pretty bad. And I have to wear compression. I have a super suit. It's like a $70,000 suit at home that I get inside and it compresses me, and I'm supposed to do it twice a day, and I don't always do it twice a day. But it's, you know, it's a serious thing. But with my lymphedema, what happened, because I had a lot of liquid and fluid pooling at the lower part of my body, naturally circulation is bad in that area. So I had an infection begin in my body, and I didn't know how bad it was because it didn't spread this way, it spread this way inside my body. And I felt funny, I felt a little woozy, I didn't really understand. I was bleeding sometimes, and then I would have like seepage. It was kind of crazy. But at one point I just like, okay, I gotta go to the hospital, something's weird. So I went to the hospital. 20 minutes into the visit, they said, okay, you're going to the ER right now. We need to remove some dying flesh from you. You have a necrotic area where the flesh is dying, and you're sepsis right now. So they got me on the table. Such a crazy moment.
Wow. Rolled
away and into the room, and luckily they did the surgery and they removed about this much worth of flesh.
Whoa.
It's crazy. And the recovery prognosis was that, I mean, I had a hole in my body, and I had a wound vac. It's like a little machine that sucks all the bad blood out and all stuff, and try to keep it dry. So they said, it's going to be like 6 to 8 months minimum before you see any progress here. You know, you just we'll have to send a nurse to your house, and she'll have to pack your wound and fill it with gauze, and you'll do your rest and have the wound vac on. It's just gonna be a long time. I said, screw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pulled off a miracle. I don't know exactly what happened. I can't say what attributed to all that success, but something very magical happened. And I would say that if I were were to attribute anything to it, it would be the good family that I had around me and the positive energy that I tried to maintain throughout the process.
Yeah. No, I mean, you do exude that positivity, and
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
you've gone through so much. I mean, just listening to it, I'm getting
Well, the craziest part is that the healing that they gave me a prognosis of 6 to 8 months, I completely healed that cavity in my body in 30 days.
wow. Okay, that's impressive. So how did you do that?
I don't know. I that's what I say. Like they told me to be still and not go crazy. I had to get some movement, but like not do anything insane. But I went right back to playing music within days. Like days of the operation, I was sitting back on the piano, and I was playing. And I think that helped so much in healing me. I think the attitude that I had, I never once, felt sad about my sickness and my ailment. If anything, honestly, what I felt bad for was I felt bad for my family. I felt sadness for them. I felt like I was holding them back and hurting them, and I felt like I was a burden to them. I knew no one felt that way, but I could feel like, it's taxing to have to take care of me and help me. So that was a hard part, but I felt grateful every day. I would wake up and I felt alive. I felt like I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm alive. I'm gonna be okay. And I would laugh, and I would love, and I would enjoy, and I would try to retrain my body and take care of myself better. And I did. After that sepsis attack, I ended up losing 250 pounds and healing in 30 days, which the doctors were just like, what the heck? They literally, the nurse came home or to my house, and they opened up the room, and they're like, this is okay, this is really weird. It's completely healed.
Wow.
It's completely healed.
Wow.
And I don't know. And my sister-in-law, she kept sending this healing like drink. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was some special drink that they used at like old folks' homes and stuff. And I think that might have helped too. I don't know what it was, but everything I think helped.
And I'm sure like the love from your family.
Oh my God. Critical.
Yeah.
Essential. Yeah. I spent so much of my life being in a negative space. I swore that I would not let myself ever get back to that point. When I was 18. I've never let myself fall into that negativity ever again. And I think it's responsible for helping me stay alive, and being happy and being who I am. I think the odds are really against me in a lot of ways, in the sense that, I am very overweight, and health-wise, and you would think that like it's not looking good in a lot of ways. But it's funny, a lot of my health stats are actually, they're off the charts in a good way. My resting heart rate is a 59 when I sleep. I have HRV as high as 110. And, I don't think those stats mean everything, but I think it's interesting that I can be as large as I am, even though I've lost the weight, I'm still big, that I can still have such interestingly healthy stats.
Well, that speaks to how, I've heard Gurudev sometimes says this. It's like, a strong mind, a positive mind can carry a weak body.
Yeah.
But a weak mind cannot even carry a strong body.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. That is very true. I think I've made a lot of doctors angry in my history. I remember going in the beginning and seeing some doctors, and I remember early on, a doctor had taken my medical stats, and he said to me, "Oh, this is ridiculous. People like you make me angry." And I was like, "Oh, why?" He goes, "Because you like telling people and showing people that you can be overweight." And I was like, "Oh," it's like, okay, I'll take that as a compliment. I don't know what to do, but
I'm showing people that you can be happy,
right?
And when you're happy, you can work through anything. Yeah. That's what you're truly showing is that incredible story of resilience and the spirit inside of you. So I don't agree with that doctor.
Well, he had a hard time because my blood pressure was it was like perfect at the time. It was very, very good. It was like 113 over like 60 something, and he was like, "This is ridiculous. You know, you should be in horrible condition, and like you're overweight, you're so overweight, but your blood pressure is like." But I've always been a promoter of stress management.
Yeah.
You know, I really believe that we are responsible for ultimately our real health through mental health.
Right.
You know, and having the ability to not get stressed out or turn things into something bigger than they really are has been essential to my life.
Yeah.
So it's kept me alive.
Were you performing at the time when you were going through a lot of the health stuff, like the live streams?
Yeah. So at the time when I was doing that, I was performing live streams, not as much.
Yeah.
Not as heavy. I was definitely doing them, but I was doing a lot of outside. Like live performances in real life, and that was crazy. There was a time when I did a live performance, and this is right before I went to the hospital. It was almost like I was pregnant and broke water. There was so much blood because of a situation. I don't mean to get gory, anything, just being real. Like, I was sitting at the piano. I was at this beautiful venue, very exclusive situation, and I was like, what's going on? And I feel funny, but like, I don't know. And then I would notice a little bit, I was kind of like a little damp, and I looked down at the ground, and there was a puddle of blood. It was literally a puddle. Like, it was so much blood. And luckily I perform at a keyboard where it's kind of covered with a canopy and like a covering on the front so you couldn't see. But underneath was all my bandmates, and everyone had to scramble to try to help clean it up and clear it before I left the building. And I don't know how I did it, but we did it together, and they helped me get from there to the car. And then I think it was a couple days after that, maybe, I had to go to the hospital.
How do you maintain this positive spirit, Sunny, while you're going through all of this during that time? Like, mid-performance, you're seeing something like this happen. How do you hold your composure?
Yeah, I do. My instant reaction is it's easy. I really do feel like it's easy. And it's easy because I have so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
I have so much to be proud of in my family and myself and my life. I've lived such a beautiful life to this day. Like, amazing, incredible. And no matter what's going on, I can't justify letting that destroy what it is that I've already had. The love that I've been able to love has been extraordinary. I've been able to give some of the most incredible love one could give. If I died right now, I would be very content. I would not feel that I haven't lived my life. I would not feel that I haven't done something. I would not feel I haven't loved my father, my mother, my best friends, my family. I feel that my family knows more than anything that I love them, and I feel that they have no doubt. And that is something that makes me rest easy.
Wow, that's such a powerful reminder. Like, the way I think about it is very similar to what you were saying. It's like you don't build a well when your house is already on fire. You have to do the work from before, and the fact that you feel gratitude every day, it's like a practice. Or your happiness is a decision. It's a practice.
It didn't start like this.
It can start like this, and you have to remind yourself, okay, these are my wins. And a lot of people, because they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and even though they are incredible, they've done great, but they remind themselves of the things that they failed at instead of the things that they won at in life.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And just a constant practice, just a constant
It is.
attitude gets you, and becomes nature before you even know it.
100%.
And then when a tough situation arises, when the house is already on fire, you already have this well to pull from.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing, I think, when bodies and our minds, they react to emergency or tragic situation, and we meet them with more tragedy.
Yeah.
That scares me, and it's a normal human response in this society.
Right.
And I don't want to say it's human nature. People want to say it's human nature. I don't believe that. I believe it's we're taught that.
Exactly.
I lost my father and my brother not that long ago. I lost my brother first, and then I lost my father, and that was during COVID. My brother also, my two brothers that I have, Sam is his name, and I have a younger brother named Sydney. Sam was also overweight, and he led a very strenuous lifestyle.
Yeah.
COVID was a contributor, but also kidney disease. They took, both his kidneys. He was on dialysis, and it was rough. But when COVID hit, at the end of COVID, he got COVID, and then had an operation. And it just took him. And that was very tragic, very sad.
Yeah.
Of course. And I remember going through that whole process of mourning, and I think it was really crazy for my family to watch me, because I think that they were more sad than I was. And not to say that I didn't feel sadness. Of course I feel loss. Of course I feel I love him and would do anything to see him. And I would give so much of myself to be able to be with him again. I did not mourn traditionally. Did I shed tears? Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Did I even cried, I think, in performance when I dedicated a song to him.
Yeah.
The entire time that I was mourning my brother, the overwhelming feeling that I had more than anything else was gratitude and love. I did not feel loss. I did not feel incomplete. I did not feel that this overwhelming feeling of I'm not going to have my brother. I felt I still have him, and he's with me forever. And I felt so grateful I had the time that I did with him. I didn't feel this traditional form of sadness.
Right.
And I think it confused, a lot of people. I think it could confuse a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even for my own family, when they looked at me, I think they were kind of like, what the heck is going on? Wow, but it's true. I woke up every day and he would pop into my heart, and all I felt was I was filled with love. I wasn't filled with loss and hate or hurt.
Yeah.
I just felt, man, I'm so lucky that I got to spend the time that I did with him. I used to, when I was in Thailand, I was living with him, and we were living together, and it wasn't always perfect. We had our fights and our stuff, but oh my God, I'm so happy that I did that. And I don't look at it as as sadness.
And it's very, it's interesting that we are remembering him here, and your dad, and I'm sure they're listening to this and going, that I'm proud of you, and
I think so.
They're, I'm sure they're reflecting that love and gratitude.
Yeah,
thank you for, I feel honored that you're, sharing such personal details
with
here.
you. I can share anything. You're such an amazing person. You really are. I'm who I am, and I will be who I am. But we are, as humans, we're energy that feeds off of each other. We that's what conversation is, right?
Yeah.
And you made it so easy for me from the very beginning, and we've had such an open and sincere relationship, and I it's so magical. It really is, and I thank you for that. And
thank you, brother.
It's amazing.
Thank you, brother. I mean it, and it was incredible. I want to touch upon something interesting. I want to kind of close this conversation where we started.
Sure.
Right, and so now the pandemic ended, right, and right around that time, 2024, I think, is when we walked into Howie's studio, and that's where you guys performed an amazing song. We have the whole Sunny and the Black, we have the whole pack here sitting in the studio with us right now as well, and it was incredible. And do you mind if I play that?
Of course,
play that
please. No,
here
go ahead.
for everybody to enjoy?
Here with us is Guru Dev, across the world of happiness spread, bringing in a word of wisdom, breathing out will bring you freedom. Let the truth unfurl, win over your mind, win over the world. Inner peace, he'll show you how. Joy's not tomorrow, it is now. Get your groove on right now.
This was such a wonderful dedication to Gurudev. If there was one lesson that you want to leave our audience with today, from your story, from our interaction with Gurudev and Howie Mandel, or anything else, a last piece of advice that you would like to leave for everybody before, we call this conversation.
I think this conversation has a lot of different points that we could talk about, but I think one that rang most loudly is the power of positivity.
Yep.
It's what brought us here right now. And I think it will continue to fuel our friendship and many others of those that are around us. No matter what happens in your life and what's going on, I think there's always room to find positivity. And it's critical that we do, because it heals everything.
Wonderful. And what are some projects that you're working on right now? That
Everything. I'm doing a lot right now. I think I just did a movie with Harlan Williams,
Nice.
and I co-wrote a song with him, a few songs, and that's going into the movie. So it's called Wingman, and that'll be out. I think it's going to be showing at the Big Bear Film Festival,
Nice.
and it'll hopefully be out, at other distribution networks soon.
That's incredible.
And there's a release of another movie I did called Gladiator Underground. That's another martial arts movie. So I did the title track, the theme song for that, and it's
Wow.
a very different style. I'm excited about that. There are some other projects, media-wise, I can't fully talk about, but I can tell you that they're in the television series and movie sector. Some really great things that are in the works.
That's
I'm
incredible.
so excited. Working on a fashion line.
Nice.
So this is the hat I'm wearing now is actually one of my paintings,
I
which
love
is
it.
another thing I'm doing. I love painting so much. And so this is Bubble Clops. We took this painting and we turned it into a digital frame, an animated framework. It's going into a digital clock, and it's also going to be this fashion line. So we've got this and many more. I'm in partnership with an art gallery in Westlake Village. That's opening very soon, I think in October. I have my own glow-in-the-dark rings and jewelry.
Amazing.
These are crazy. They glow in the dark, and I have my own watch coming as well. We just talked about that today, and I got the official word that is coming. So
Wonderful.
I have my own ukulele. It's just a lot of little things. It's
That's
but you
great.
could find us online. Just search Black Media Presents on Instagram or any other platform. On Facebook, I think we're Sunny in the Black Pack. But you can search us and find us, and we're out there.
Wonderful. Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Sunny. Obviously, your positivity reflects it, like whenever I talk to you, I feel more uplifted. Music is a big part of his life too, by the way.
Yes.
Art of Living, music is huge.
Yes.
So every evening, wherever he's traveling, there's like something spiritual concert per se, and they're called satsangs, right? Sat means truth. Sang means company of the truth. So where they sing these very ancient, Sanskrit chants, but they're songs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're songs, and it has like a vibration behind it.
Yep.
And they tend to get groovy even sometimes, where people can dance
I
to
can
it.
feel it. Yeah.
And,
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
So somebody asked him, and I remember at one point I asked him even like, who's a good friend, right? And he said, well, the definition of a good friend is if you talk to them, you go with a problem to a good friend, and it feels like the problem is nothing, right? And you feel more uplifted, and you feel as if your problem is nothing, right? And a bad friend is like you go to them with a problem, and they make you feel that your problem is 10 times bigger than what it actually is. And I think you've been a great friend, Sunny, because whenever I talk to you, I'm like, hey man, like this guy is grooving, this guy is so positive. I gotta stay positive. My problem's nothing, and you always make me feel uplifted. So thank you for doing that, and I hope this episode reflects that for all of our audience. And so everybody, please search him, Google him. This man is a legend. Thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you for being a good friend.
Awesome, man. Incredible. Hey, a quick pause. I want to share a resource I've personally trusted for years. And when it comes to living well, not just in moments of meditation or reflection, but in everyday life, what we put into our bodies matters deeply. And that is why I love Shri Shri Tattva. It's a brand rooted in authentic Ayurveda, from daily wellness supplements to natural personal care, all crafted with ancient wisdom and modern purity. No shortcuts, no hypes, just products that support real well-being from the inside out. For me, it's all about alignment between what I practice and what I teach and how I live. And Shri Shri Tattva helps me bring some of that care into my daily routine. You can explore their offerings at shrishritattvausa.com. I highly recommend checking them out. The link is also in my description below.
I want to share something I've been personally loving. Shankara's Ghee Sutra is one of those rare products where ancient wisdom meets modern skincare. It's crafted from ghee that's churned 10,000 times. Yes, 10,000. Blended with Ayurvedic botanicals like hibiscus, bamboo, and it penetrates deep, up to 7 layers, to nourish, hydrate, and bring your skin back to life. No harsh chemicals, no surface level fixes, just deep, authentic care from the inside out, like everything we talk about on this show. You can check it out at shankara.com